If you went to the most remote jungles on Earth, what would you expect to see? Unknown plants? Giant mutant creatures that look like they're from another planet? Maybe even a lost civilization? In today's video, I'm going to recreate a lost civilization with the biggest tarantula on Earth. Here we go. Real quick, if you enjoy the videos, please consider subscribing to the channel and liking the video. And if you want to support Creature Kingdom more, please check out the Creature Kingdom Patreon link below. The world didn't always look like it does today. I mean, a lot of places on Earth don't even look like this today. Many people are aware that ancient civilizations have existed all over the world for centuries, and many continue to exist today. But did you know that only about 5% of land on Earth is still undiscovered? It seems like a small number, but only a fraction of all land masses have truly even been studied. South America is the perfect example. The massive continent has a human population of over 420 million, but the Amazon itself remains a mystery to so many. Jungle so dense and overgrown that people can't even get into most of the Amazon, let alone study it. Imagine the mysteries that remain in the overgrown jungle. Uncontacted tribes, ancient structures, and the craziest part, probably unbelievable organisms that have existed since the beginning of time. You see, a Spanish explorer named Francisco de Orellana was the first person to sail the full length of the Amazon in 1542. He departed with 300 men, and after a brutal journey through the Amazon, only 57 of his men survived. In his writings, he claimed to have discovered an advanced civilization accidentally that was flourishing in the 1540s, with an estimated 5 million people in the middle of the Amazon. Just 100 years later, other Europeans looked for these massive civilizations, but it was as if they never existed. Maybe it was all a fantasy, or the civilizations were decimated and swallowed up by the jungle, as if they never existed at all. If you were wandering around the Amazon in the 16th century, what would you expect to see? How about the largest tarantula on the planet? This is the Goliath Birdeater tarantula. The name is not an exaggeration. This is truly the Goliath of the arachnid world, being the heaviest arachnid on Earth that can easily take down reptiles and rodents, and pretty much anything that is unlucky enough to come her way. This Goliath is a female, over 8 inches in length. Not only is the Goliath Birdeater the longest in terms of length, but also weight. The fangs of this tarantula are massive and well over 1.5 inches in length. But the hidden weapon of this tarantula is her urticating hairs. The Goliath Birdeater looks as if it is covered in a brown fur, but the abdomen is really covered in tiny hairs called urticating hairs. If threatened, the Goliath will flick these hairs up into the air with her back legs. They aren't lethal, but extremely irritating as they hook into skin, eyes, and even throats of animals if accidentally inhaled, leaving just a cloud of dust behind. This Goliath Birdeater lives a very lonely, solitary life, and we need a special habitat for her. Something that can serve as a permanent habitat for the Goliath Birdeater. This is going to be the centerpiece of this lost world. Try to imagine that you were one of the explorers that came a century after Francisco de Orellana. You spent months searching the surroundings marked on a map, only to find ancient ruins buried in the jungle. no life left except the ruins themselves. That is our plan. First, we start by adding our substrate layer on top of a drainage layer. This is not only important for the Goliath Birdeater to find refuge, but also for the overgrown jungle that we have to create. Next, it's time for the Goliath Birdeater den. As big as this female birdeater is, they still do like tighter burrows that they can dig into and escape from larger predators if they have to. I'm putting our ancient ruin structure near the back left. This way the jungle can really surround it later on without it taking up open space for the tarantula. This dragon rock will go up front, half buried. It seems realistic to have some variance on this jungle floor. Now, let's transform this enclosure with our jungle plants. Here is our final product. Big sturdy plants throughout the enclosure with a creeping fig crawling up the back wall. If all goes as planned, these plants will continue to grow and swallow up the enclosure, just like the Amazon. But we're going to try something different for this jungle floor. I'm going to use the most dense common plant in the whole world. Grass. That's right, plain old green grass, and we're going to sprinkle these seeds around the enclosure. This may not be a replica of the Amazon jungle floor, but it may just help us turn the enclosure into a true jungle. Let's also add in our microfauna. When an ancient civilization is overtaken by a jungle, I assume the microfauna and small organisms are usually the first to move in. These critters will break down organic material and return the nutrients into the substrate for the plants. But before I introduce the giant Goliath Birdeater into this lost civilization, I want to give the enclosure a few days to let the plants root and hopefully the grass to seed. 3 days later, and something amazing is happening. I woke up to see this. All around the enclosure, little blades of grass have emerged from the substrate, green and growing. It's as if the grass has hopped out of the seeds and is instantly reaching towards the sky. I don't know why this is so amazing to me. Grass is grown everywhere by everyone around the world, but something about it seeding and growing up close makes it different. "5 days later, and we're starting to run into an issue. Everything is going as planned, except the grass is taking over. It is growing insanely fast and has reached the top of the enclosure in some spots. So I'm going to use the most sophisticated tool known to mankind. Scissors. Cutting it down to a reasonable length, now the grass isn't completely taking over, and the microfauna, I'm sure, will be feasting on the cut up blades of grass later. The ancient ruin in the back is being completely devoured by the surrounding plants, and soon nothing will remain. You can see how fast man-made structures and ruins can completely disappear in a real-life jungle. It's time to add the Goliath Birdeater. The moment is finally here, but we still have to be careful. Easy, easy. Phew. See those little particles in the air? Yeah, those are urticating hairs, and I don't want to get them on my skin. Let's leave her alone and let her explore this new jungle. "10 days later, and things have changed. The once vibrant green jungle floor now looks old and lifeless. The rattlesnake plant in the center has begun to take over to suck up all the sunlight of the enclosure. You can already see the plant reaching toward the top, not only blocking light, but also stopping water from reaching other parts of the enclosure. I wasn't joking when I said the Goliath Birdeater really is the heaviest tarantula. She's been very active during the day and night, which has trampled the once thriving grass blades. In combination with less water and less light reaching the ground, the grass is facing extinction in this lost civilization. Aliens may have not created the ancient ruins found in the Amazon, but if you're one of the explorers in the 15th century, you would probably say this creature is extraterrestrial life from another planet. The hornworm. This is a giant hornworm, and it may not be native to the Amazon, but it is a true alien-looking organism. Fortunately, this creature is a herbivore, and it will consume as much as it can until eventually pupating and turning into a giant 5-spotted hawk moth. And it has to make it to adulthood first. 20 days later, and the ecosystem has changed. The grass has died off and has been replaced with spots of green moss. In hopes that the moss will survive the trampling and lower light conditions, but the rattlesnake plant continues to grow as it demands more and more light, killing off other plants. The Goliath Birdeater has gotten extremely comfortable in this new environment. She's constantly hunting for prey, and her fast growth rate requires a fast metabolism, and she is in need of more and more food, and she knows where to find it. This giant hornworm is climbing the roof of our lost civilization, wandering and looking for food itself. However, he is not used to these surfaces as they climb tomato plants in the wild. He has no idea about the danger that lies below. The hornworm missteps. Before you can blink an eye, she grabs a hold of the hornworm. Even with the hornworm's impressive size, he stands no chance against this true giant. The hornworm struggles to escape, but her massive fangs are already piercing all the way through the hornworm. The hornworm can struggle, but there's no escape. In the next 30 minutes, the Goliath Birdeater venom will dissolve the hornworm's insides as she slowly consumes this massive hornworm. An hour later, I can see her strategically walking around the dead hornworm. It looks as if she's doing a ritual dance, but many people speculate why tarantulas do this to their dead prey. Likely to stop pests or other organisms from going on their meal, maybe like a person putting leftovers in the fridge. The Goliath Birdeater has existed for hundreds of millions of years, and civilizations have been created and have vanished in that time. Just think about all the creatures and lost civilizations we don't know about that are buried deep in jungles all around the world. In the end, maybe some mysteries are best left alone and undiscovered. Next time on Creature Kingdom.